Hey everybody, it's Gilbert Nichols. I was just watching a video of a friend of mine that went out to talk to somebody out in St. Louis, and he talked about something that I learned later as I started to do a little research, that this is, as the title of this blog post says, will get you more sales, will give you better sex appeal, and you'll become a more attractive person if you use it. But you got to use it every day. And I'll explain it in just a minute. First, let me tell you about my friend Dan. He went out to St. Louis on the train. Wanted to experience that whole nostalgic thing with Mark Twain and going to St. Louis and enjoying, that ambiance of the middle of the of the country with Mark Twain experience. Well, anyway, what he really wanted to do is he wanted to go out to Busch Stadium. And one of his lifelong dreams was to work in Busch Stadium, and while people are playing baseball, he'd be out there doing his thing with beer as a concessionaire. And basically going around selling beer. You know those guys. Yeah, get your beer right here. Get your beer, cold beer. You always hear those guys, right? Well, he thought that'd be fun. And then, and back in 1988, when he was just a young man, probably, teenage years or so. I don't know exactly how old he is, but I know he's a fairly young guy. It's like, man, that'd be just the ultimate for him. He's just, he remembers the commercials about less filling and, whatever they say. I can't remember that commercial. But anyway, he went round and round trying to sell beer, and, he said, okay, it's a task. And I remember the days when I used to sell Cokes and Peanuts at Grant Field down in downtown Atlanta back when I was in high school. And back then it was like, let's see, the Cokes were, I want to say 50 cents for like a 10-ounce cup, and peanuts were like 75 cents or something like that. And so, but I was always amazed. Guys always come back with a lot more tips and a lot more deals. And I thought, they said, well, they just told me they hustle better. I said, well, I'll try and hustle, but man, that's some heavy stuff to carry around. Well, Dan, he thought, well, he's a pretty good salesperson. If you meet the guy today, you'd say, yeah, he's a pretty good salesperson. Well, what happened was, he came back after 2 or 3 times and realized this one guy keeps making more tips than anybody else. Matter of fact, he even went out to, Dan went out to this one area of the stadium and said, hey, would you like cold beer? And the guy said, no, we're waiting for Charlie. And and so he said, well, Charlie, why Charlie? I mean, same beer. I mean, I'm offering the same beer. Why don't you buy the beer for me? And he says, no, we'll wait for Charlie. And so he found out later Charlie not only been around longer, but Charlie was had a little clientele that they loved Charlie, and Charlie loved his customers. And so he went out there and sold them the beer and got the tips, and usually he came away with $300, $400, $500 in tips each game. And that's pretty good money for just hawking beers, at the stadium. And I don't know what they do today, but still, what Dan was saying is that finally he cornered Charlie, and he said, Charlie, tell me something. Tell me, what's your secret? How is it, number one, that people just want you? And number two is that you make so many tips. Now, I'm doing the same thing you're doing. What's different? Charlie looked at him and said, boy, this is the words of wisdom for you. I smile more than you. Now, I had to be taken aback myself. I thought, is that really all it takes? Is just a smile? Well, let me ask you something. What are you selling? What are you selling that you could sell better with a smile? What are you doing that could make a better impact with a smile? When you go home and see that little lady or that man walking through the door and you growl at them, how sexy does that look? If it's a childish kind of growl, that's one thing. But if it's a scowl on your face and your hair's in curlers, unless you're a guy, and you scowl, it ain't very sexy. But a smile sure goes a long way. I remember a story years ago about a guy that went to New York City and worked in a high-rise building. And that, every day he went there, 35 years, he walked in and out of this one building. Nobody smiled except for this one receptionist. And so he noticed that she was the only one that took time to smile at him when he walked in and out of the building. No, there was no more relationship than that. And yet he was impressed enough to talk to her later and find out that it was her faith in Christ that gave her that genuine smile. So you got to have a genuine smile. You got to have something genuine inside of you. You got to be filled up with something that is real, so that when people see the smile on you, they know they're dealing with a genuine article. Nobody likes that cheesy smile like you see a little kid do in the first grade class picture, and everybody's told to smile, and the furthest thing from a kid's mind is to wanting to smile, especially a boy. And yet a smile will make you more sexy. And a smile at the right time can give somebody that you're selling something to the assurance that you are there for their best interest. And it may be just a thing that will win them over to what you're offering. So you want to be more sexy? You want to make more sales? Try smiling. It does wonders. Like Zig Ziglar says, it takes 2 muscles to smile, and it takes 62 muscles to frown. So if you got a muscle-bound mouth, then give your mouth a rest and smile more. And who knows? Maybe you might get that deal. That deal. You can tell I'm from the South. You can get that deal that no one else could get because you smiled more. So smile today. Practice smiling. Practice when you wake up. Practice when you go to bed. Practice when you're in your car. Look in your rearview mirror, not just at the guy behind you, but look at that person that's looking back at you and say, would I want to buy from that person today? And then put a smile on your face and say, yeah, I want to buy from you today. So that's the word for today. And I'll leave you with this. Have a great day. You absolutely deserve it.